So, I'm gonna get into debunking this next liberal notion or myth about the LGBTQ, community, primarily the gay, lesbian, them being born. Well, I guess all the other subgroups, them being born that way as opposed to choosing to be that way. And the reason I want to really get into it right now is because I'm watching a pretty red pill movie. It's a Hollywood, you know, very scripted and all that, but and it got me to thinking about how dynamic sexuality is and how one can hone in on certain attributes of their sexuality and amp it up or tone it down. And that's almost never spoken about. Because I believe, in a Machiavellian sense, I believe people are capable of extremely degenerate things and also very wholesome things, very good things. But the problem is that people don't want to talk about it, people don't want to address it. And that's where I really go there. I'm really, whether it's in my head or in the future, I'm willing to go there. I'm willing to debate anybody as far as sexuality and this myth of them being born that way, because I don't think they are. I think humans are extremely nuanced and very dynamic, and I even see a lot of patterns where a lot of these, first of all, I think it's a victimization, but they find deficiencies in themselves. They say, "Oh, I'm fat, I'm ugly, whatever." So they go for like some easier shit, like gay men, for example. Gay men, because I do believe they are attracted to beautiful women. We all want dimes, we all want beautiful women. But rather than look at themselves and be like, I can prove this, that, blah, 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 they say, oh, I'm going to do some weird backward shit and go get a man. Because they know it's like, it's this weird culture that I see it and I can kind of like see why. Because I've been, you know, when you're not this whole other talk, when you're not logos, you're apt and susceptible to do all these backward degenerate things. And that's a big part of it. They don't, they don't, they're just not willing to look at it that way. But nonetheless, I had another point on how that dynamism of sexuality can be exploited at different times, and people, see these things, and depending on how impressionable they are and what point of life they're at. So this notion of them being born that way, it's just so, there's so many factors. Like if someone's more desperate, they're gonna find outlets to express their sexuality. So in terms of, you know, I'm gonna get kind of personal with this. When I was in more desperate times, I was like, you know, I can kind of go for like a transgender or something like that. Just finding ways to cope with the reality of life and understanding those deficiencies, others consciously or subconsciously, and then being, well, I'm gonna target these lower hanging fruit and go for that, and then you're, not just settling, but it's just sad. But my principal argument for this is actually kind of I'm just gonna go there. I believe just like homosexuality, transgenderism, all that, I believe pedophilia is under that same umbrella. It's just as degenerate. When pedophiles, most of them are older men. They're ugly. They know. Some part of them knows. So they understand that they can, and this also shows how dynamic sexuality is. they kind of understand they have to be predatory because they can't get better. So they develop this understanding, and they're some peeping tom or some loser in like some basement, and they're like, oh shit, I can like get this thing and take exploit it, take advantage of it. And it shows the psyche of how humans can be, because I believe everybody has capacity to do all these things. If you got like some if you got the most Chad dude and you took away everything, he's like some bum who's ugly. Someone throws acid on his face. He has the capacity to be just as degenerate and all that. So people just don't want to go there. They don't want to examine how selfish and how low people can be when desperate. And that not only makes an argument for the requirement of religion and logos, but it also shows that uh, it's fundamentally a choice, not just because it's extremely dynamic, because of people's understanding of how little choices they have, but they also feel as though they need a outlet to vent their sexual frustrations. Um, yeah, I'm kind of losing steam here because I didn't take notes on this, so I'm kind of going off the cuff. So I apologize for the unstructured argument, but yeah, the point being is I'm debunking it by drawing inference from these examples. So pedophiles realize they're just ugly, nobody wants them, so they exploit. It's not necessarily that they're like nobody's born a pedophile, but you realize I'm ugly, nobody wants me, in their case, and they go for some easy target, which is exploitative, and pedophiles should be punished, and they're disgusting. But it we can analyze it and see, you know, they develop these scarcity mindsets because they understand no one wants them. And just like that, we see that homosexuals, bisexuals, transgenders, they realize they can't play in their, what's an orthodox field. They, that man can't get that girl, so he's like, oh, I'm gonna go do that backward shit. That's basically what I'm arguing for my point. And yeah, I do fundamentally believe they're choosing to do this backwards behavior, this degenerate behavior. And I mean, I hope I draw some buzz on this because I really want to hear arguments to this because, I know they're going to say, wow, that's not really a good argument, but I mean, I beg to differ, and, I'd love to hear other opinions on it.